Anyway, wow. Okay, so thank you guys for being here. I'm going to start out by saying this has been a very, very particular and strange journey for me. What we're doing here today is going to be just a very, very unique process of not only activating elements of your energy, but also giving you guys a little bit of like what I would call a activation, a little bit of a briefing, but really the most important part is going to be the energy that we create with a few strange sounds that we're going to be experiencing. So I always start these things out with some really a process that was given to me. Actually, it wasn't even given to me. One of the hallmark experiences I've had in this human life is the phenomenon of what I know as extraterrestrial contact. Meetings, journeys, some form of connection with what we would call beings from places other than this planet. It's not necessarily a thing that I asked for, but I think I signed a contract prior to coming in here that, kicked off a series of experiences right around the time I turned age 40 in my life when things literally changed. And so I'm going to start out with this. In December of 2017, I was working in a psychic shop in Los Angeles, California, just doing my little thing, doing readings and energy clearings and going through the process that I was doing at that time. And I sort of leaned back in my chair at work, and I was really blessed because I worked in a place where I could just sort of do, like a meditation whenever I felt like it. It was a new stage in my life. And I leaned my head back on this little chair and I closed my eyes. And within about, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, I was in another place. I believe that I was on a planet. Maybe we could call it a planet. Maybe we could call it a realm. I'm going to skip forward because I want to show you these guys there on the left of the screen. Some people call them Dogon warriors. Other people call them, they could call them Zulu, whoever they were. I appeared in an outdoor area and I was face to face with what I believe to be three very tall, very dark, black-skinned men. Some of their joints were reversed and they were doing this sort of dance. I would do the dance, but I would embarrass myself in a way that you guys would never forget it. And so they were doing this dance and they were sort of moving around and I was observing them right in front of me. And within a few moments, they noticed me and they walked up to me and they went like this. And they blew this dust into my face. And then they curved around and they walked up to me again. And three of them built a wall over my body with their hands from head to toe, all the way over my body. And by the time I was able to ask, what is this? What's happening? I was taken to a room. I always feel emotional when I talk about it because in that room, it was very much a rough place, kind of like I imagine something like Africa if you want to grab an image. And before I tell that story, one of the really cool things that we're going to be experiencing here today is the phenomenon of internal telepathy. So for those of you guys that are feeling those channels awaken in your body, you can totally just stare at my left eye. It's a thing. It's a projector. Everyone has one. They're energy portals. And so it'll give you a little bit of an internalized slideshow of your own creation of the energy that I'm talking about. And so I appeared in this room, and to my right was what I would describe as a stone table or a bed or maybe like a doctor's chamber or something. And there was a child laying on that table, and the child was very sick. He was breathing very strangely. It was like this grayish, blackish, alien being child. And I noticed that this being had a very large crack on its head. It was like a glowing crack, a little bit resemblant of maybe something we would have seen in Harry Potter, how he had that strange scar. But it was a massive glowing crack on the side of this child's head, and it was sort of vibrating and moving. And I observed myself walk over to this child, and I put my hand above his head, and I began to unknowingly pull what appeared to be something like a glowing mass of energy, something similar to what we might call sounds kind of silly, but a bit like a slug. And in that moment, I heard this sound. Come to find out, shortly thereafter, it's actually a technology, and I'm going to be giving it to you guys here today. And so during that process, I heard a sound. I wish I could say that it was given to me. I wish I could say I was initiated. I wish I could say some beings took me into the inner earth and said, hey, here's some extraterrestrial technology, bring it back to the humans and use it. But no. What did I do? I mimicked it. I copied what I saw. I copied what I experienced. And so what I'd like you to do is just close your eyes for a few moments if you can. And I'm just going to real gently reach over and touch your third eye, but not the one in the front, the one in the back. In 3, 2, 1. So shortly after that experience, I began to use this tone. An audible sound would emit not only from my body, but from the moment in which I was working with a client. I did not know what it was at the time, but that was nearly 5 years ago. And since that moment, since kind of taking what I had learned, taking what I picked up from that other version of myself in that alternate realm, we have built a modality and a process, an educational program designed entirely around the experience that I had within that space. And so, come to find out shortly thereafter, there's a multidimensional higher self council that exists for each of us in what we would call the astral space. Some people call it a fourth density realm, fifth density. These are really just human creations, human terms that we kind of adopt and all kind of agree on in our life cycle to refer to a higher state of consciousness. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. It has been the very foundation of my work as an energetic practitioner in this life. And we're going to get to a little bit of the history of that, but I want to start out with this because there's a lot of kind of buzzwords, there's a lot of spiritual kind of terms. Everybody has their own name for the stage that we are in. And none of us are right or wrong. One of the really cool things about this lifetime is that many, not all of, if you want to get technical, but most of the great teachers, most of the great archetypes, most of the historical figures who have existed, and by the way, we can all be the same historical figure. It's one of the facets of your existence. We get to be everyone in this life. But one of the really cool things about it is that we are in the life cycle in which those elements of ourselves are more reachable, they are more palpable, you can converse with them, you can connect with them, and ancient knowledge is returning. But nothing that you were taught, nothing like that. It's you. It's your frequency. It's the very essence of why you chose to begin this wild incarnational cycle on Earth. And yes, it is very wild. It's a very strange one. And so, welcome to fourth density, everyone. Yes, fourth density. Notice I didn't say 5D. Although that is a big part of the journey, but right now, we're in a stage called fourth density. One of the reasons why each of you guys have been called to this moment is because of very specific events and changes. All you have to do is open up your phone, look at Facebook, see everything that's going on in the world, and you can see there's something going on. We all incarnated in a highly polarized and strange environment, and no matter who you are, where you've been, what you have done, you've been brought to this moment because you made a choice to be a part of what we would call an ascension process, a shifting of timelines, a sort of awakening into the next version of ourselves. And so the first thing I always like to say, well, usually I start with it, but is that we chose to be born. We chose our mom and dad. We chose each and every one of the polarizing, difficult, beautiful, and victimizing experiences in this life. It's part of our agreement when we become humans. And those of us that are incarnated right now, those of us that are ensouled, and I say that very carefully, because one of the discoveries that we make within this life cycle is there are many beings that exist here on Earth who do not have souls. It's a literal thing. We call them NPCs. Other people call them other things like containers, but that's not us. As star seeds, which is what many of us are, and yes, that's a bit of a buzzword that will quickly fade in the coming years, wanderers, or what we might call those of other than Earth origin, which if you're guessing and if you're wondering, yes, it is literally everyone in here. It's one of the foundations of our experience. We each came here with a specific set of missions, goals, kind of journeys that we were going to take that were highly individual to each of us. In addition to the myriad of choices, contracts, and decisions we made prior to entering this realm, we each chose special skills and abilities that we would need along this journey. And so, having said that, I'm going to say an even cheesier, borderline cringe thing to you, but it's literally real. Everyone's seen that movie. It doesn't matter what movie it is, but there's a stage in the movie. There's a scene where someone knocks on the door, and there's a man there. And they say, "Hello, Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so. We need you. Your world needs you. This dimension needs you. This planet needs you. It's time for you to remember who you are and come back." This is that very lifetime. And this is one of actually many chances, many moments along the journey in which we get to remember that about ourselves. And so one of the reasons why I am here right now is because I, quite literally chose this. It was a thing that happened to me, very much an accident. Come to find out, there are none. But one of the reasons why is because in the coming months and years, some of you, maybe I shouldn't say some of you, maybe I should change this because I wrote it last year, but many or all of you will be experiencing a shift in your physical life of monumental proportions. A lot of you guys are already knee-deep, head all the way into it. All you have to do is think of how much has your life changed in the past 2 or 3 years? How many of you are using a modality that only a couple, 2, 3, maybe months ago, we didn't even know what it was? And suddenly certain people come into your life, a switch turns on, and it's like, oh, I just realized I'm really good at this. I thought I was here to do, something else. Turns out it was astrology. Turns out it was channeling. It turns out it was a number of things. And so we're at the stage of our life in which things are going to change. Your body's going to change. Your face is going to change. This is a good day to take a picture of yourself, just in case you want to take one of those cringe selfies you look at later. Because we're in now, this is February, right? I think this is February. Yes, we are in February. And so by November, usually, you're going to be in a very, very different place than you are now. And it's entirely up to the choices that we're making right now. And so our bodies will change, our minds will change, and our very understandings of ourselves will change in ways that right now might seem impossible. It'll seem like a sci-fi movie. Myself and many others are living examples of what we might call a new golden age, a consciousness renaissance, a chapter of our journey on earth in which we experience the unveiling of hidden knowledge. That is literally this, now. So the most important thing you can do right now is recognize that you have a purpose here, you have a mission, even if you do not know what it is, even if this is the first time anyone has told you this. And I'm guessing, based on the caliber of people that we have here, it's not the first time. You guys are very, very well aware of this. But for those who aren't, get ready. Because just by us sharing our experiences, just by you coming here, even if you did not know why you were here, just by you receiving the vibrations that is present here, is going to be moving you into a whole other chapter of your experience. For some of us, it could take months. For some of us, it could take years. For others, well, it happens strangely enough in a blink of an eye, which I'll get to in a moment. But if you've made it this far in this life, it's because you chose this. You chose to be here. We are no longer passive observers or victims to this timeline. We no longer have to comply and fall under the wave of this parasitic control structure. The reason why we are doing strange meetings like this and kind of revealing elements of ourselves is because of the very times we live in right now. And so you are a part of this movement. It is absolutely real. Even if you just happen to work here and you're standing in the back in another room hearing fragments of my voice, not even caring about what I'm saying, it's literally a fact. We chose this. And another thing I like to say to people, I say it so much it doesn't really make sense anymore, but this is literally the best time we could have ever chosen to come back and be humans. This is the number one. This is the absolute greatest time. And so congratulations, guys. We entered the video game on expert settings, for real. Which also means, let's also be real, which also means that our lives have been very hard. They've been deeply polarizing. We've experienced tremendous trauma. We've had the shit beat out of us many times in many different ways. But here's the thing. We all survived, and we made it to here, right now. Not that this moment is the be-all, end-all. But for some of us, it is the beginning of a very incredible journey, which I always get embarrassed when I talk about this part because it's like the least enjoyable thing I can do to talk about myself. And yet, for some reason, Spirit wants me to do it time and time again over the past few years. It's just been a thing that I have to do. And so, who am I? Who are you? Why are we here? Seriously, though, seriously. This is my awkward part. I have to read the whole thing, otherwise I get weird. My name is Matthew Aaron Mournian. I am a multidimensional energy healer and intuitive reader specializing in clearing and releasing negative energetic attachments, etheric implantation, and blocked energy from the body, which I want to be real, because I do this literally every day of my life, for better or worse. And just because you do something every day doesn't mean you're really good at it, just so you know, in case anyone wants to, seriously though. The phenomenon of negative energetic attachments, etheric implantation, and things like that, they're entirely individual to each specific person. What we're essentially dealing with is blocked energy within the body. Now, we're in a stage on Earth where that blocked energy can become very, very physical. It can be attached to a number of beings and frequencies and things. And so I always like to say this before I go further. One person's reptilian implant is another person's early childhood sexual trauma. They're interchangeable and they take different forms within the body. And so I like to talk a lot about entities and various beings and things like that. But I have to say that, everyone is going to come to the understandings of spiritual mechanics, parasitic technology, all of those things in your own way. So I want you to hold on to your terminology. One of the greatest things you'll ever do is create your own version of everything. I mean that with absolute sincerity. And so in my work, I use a combination of multidimensional tarot reading, which is really, because there's a billion tarot readers in the world, and you know what I mean? Tarot card is just the thing that everyone has, but some of us will use it in slightly different ways. I wouldn't call myself a traditional reader. I use it more as a diagnostic medium for understanding blockages and layouts of the body and looking at what I call timelines, which is a very real thing. And so we use a combination of tarot reading, spirit guide, and higher self consultation, and an extraterrestrial healing modality known as scalar toning, which luckily we just experienced. Usually I do that later. Today we did it in the beginning. And so what does that do? Upon allowing the body to vibrate and open in an auditory way with a very particular type of intention, it allows us to open up layers of the energy body, our chakras, our meridians, our organs. And I'm going to say this now and I'll say it again. For those of you guys in here who are just thinking, hey, maybe I'm good at healing. I don't know. I think I am. I hear about this thing. Everyone's doing it. I think I have an ability. I might feel emotional or have a vibration in my body when people talk about it. Usually that means you're going to have an ability. And so for those of you guys that want to jump ahead of everyone, learn the meridian system. Learn the meridian system. Learn the meridian system. It is the key to the circuitry of the human body. There are many other keys, but there is one that will give you immediate access to your physicality in every now moment, as long as you know where to aim that energy, and it's the meridians. And so that said, we will talk more about meridians in a little bit. In 2018, I began an online intuitive healer educational program called the School of Multidimensional Intuition. My wife actually thought of the name of it. If you want to get technical, in the years since, we have expanded on a global level, something that I literally never thought it was going to happen, honestly. I'm not one of those people who came into this kind of soul group saying, you know, I think I'm going to be a psychic and somehow I'm going to teach other people to be psychic. Oh, yeah, and we're going to remove a bunch of implants in the process. That was never a thing that I planned to do in this life. It was a thing that activated in me, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But together with my wife, Honora, who you guys got to meet a little while ago, we are on a full-time mission to train and prepare the next generation of healers, mystics, intuitives, entering service in the new earth. And every time I say that, I want to also mention another thing. We are in the time on earth in which there are many of us. There are so many of us, and they need to be recognized. Everyone has a modality. Everyone has a program. Some of us, our programs are literally to help you figure out what yours is. And so wherever you receive that information, understand that where it comes from is you, really. One of the things I strive to do in this lifetime is to destroy the master and student archetype and the master and student model. It's gone. We do not need to adhere to that on this planet anymore. Yet many of us will, because it's part of our soul's journey, and that's okay. And so the more I have awkwardly embraced this role, the more Spirit has brought those into my life ready to receive what it is we do. And for that, I am deeply, deeply grateful, because you can tell just by looking at me, I don't work well in social situations. It's like a thing or a little switch will turn on and then we start. But until then, it's horribly awkward. And so this has been a very long journey for me, through many incarnations, many versions of myself in this lifetime, many timelines, traumas, and initiations. And I always get my dates wrong. That's why I have this screen that I use in many talks, so I know what year did certain things happen. And so for me, it was 2015. I think sometimes I say 2016, but in summer of 2015, this is a fun one to look into the eye portal for. At that stage of my life, I was working as a mental health counselor in San Diego, California, working with disabled and homeless veterans. And one day we were doing this outreach fair, and I was just doing my thing, and I walked by this group of women over on my right, and they kind of looked at me, and they were like, would you like an energy blessing? And I was like, honestly, you guys, for real, in my heart, I was like, okay, yeah, all right, sure. I don't want to go back to work. Yeah. And so I sat down on this little chair, and a woman put her hands on my head, and I honestly, I felt a strange feeling in my body, and I was like, whoa, there was like a twisting. This thing happened in my head, and honestly, I just sat there going, whoa, okay, but something took place. And so I remember after that one random thing, I walked over and looked at this fence, and I was looking out at the city on the West Coast there, and I was just like, whoa, something just happened to me. And so let's be real, within about 30 to 60 days of that moment, suddenly I somehow lost over 20 pounds. I stopped taking all kinds of medications. It was just a switch turned on in my life. I became very sick. Let me say, it was not a glorious, triumphant version of that. I literally lost my mind. And I probably stood around talking to animals until about summer of 2017. I lost my mind to the extent where I could see chakras, I could feel them. There were mornings when I would wake up and I would touch my arm and I could see every meridian and feel them and taste them and hear them, and I didn't know what they were at that time. I thought I was going insane. I literally thought I was losing my mind, and there was nobody that I could tell. Because I worked in the mental health field, and I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to do? Go in there and say, hey, there's a weird aura around your body, and when I look at the left side of your face, there's a woman, and when I look at the right side of your face, there's a man. What do I do about that? You can't go telling your clients that, right? So it was a thing that I sat on for a while, and I sat there for 2 years working on weird things, and all kinds of strange stuff happened in my life. But right around 2017, I would say early 2017, I was at another conference, and that time I was just attending them, trying to figure out what was going on in my life. I had no idea. And there was a woman that I had met there, just an older woman, but one of those people where when you look at them, kind of like you actually, you will look at them and you'll go, oh, that person's for real, damn. Like you will just see it and you will know, and you're like, oh, okay. This woman came up to me and she said, you're a psychic. You're a psychic. That's why you are the way you are. That she went into this whole tirade of all this stuff, and I sat there going, okay, but there was this little part of me that believed it, and we started kind of a relationship and a friendship, and she was literally the person that turned this on in my life, and I would not be doing what I'm doing had I have not had an experience where someone saw me. And so one of the things I strive to do in this life is to see that in others, because for many of us, that's all it takes, one moment of like, maybe this is real, and if someone else can see it, and if someone else can feel it, I don't know, they seem for real. Because there's other people in this life, you'll meet them and you're like, damn, yeah, you're the real version of that. And sometimes it takes that act of being seen, whether it's from a little being or a large being or an animal on the hill, whoever it is, we get recognized. And so I want to say that if you've made it here, that is a version of you as well, even if you don't know what it is or how it works or how to get there. For me, later on down the road, in between 2015 and 2017, I started to have all kinds of crazy experiences with beings. Like I said, things were showing up in my life, and it would take hours and hours to try to work through it all and to tell you guys what happened. But within that journey, a whole host of strange things started occurring in my life. These guys started showing up. Maybe not these exact guys, but they're a fun, Google image search depiction of many of the beings that have just been present within my kind of multidimensional space. And so I always like to show this image here just, because extraterrestrial contact is, it's one of the facts of our human existence. And if you're one of the people that's in this room, there's a really good chance you've already had it. Most of us in this life that will meet extraterrestrials, we don't realize that many of them are just like us, and they look very, very human, and they're very awkward and strange. And in my case, I'll make a strange disclosure. Both me and my wife are very, very closely linked with the system of Orion, which for some people is a scary thing when they hear about Orion. They're like, what, Orion? The Orion group? There's all kinds of crazy beings and all kinds of reptilians out there? Yeah, there are. For real, there are lots of them. Really good ones, really, really bad ones. I like to say the Orion system is kind of like New York, because there's really, really amazing stuff in New York, and there's horrible stuff, right? It's all about where you go, who you hang out with, who you talk to. And so one of the most powerful, expansive, polarizing, and healing events in my life has coming to understand many origins within the Orion system, many origins and life cycles as a reptilian being, as an insectoid being, as a praying mantis being, and most recently for a lot of us, these sort of feline beings. Those guys right there, they're a big force right now within what we would call a fifth density framework, very, very high vibrational, outside of the realm of physical bodies. And then I always go back to these guys on the left, because they are a group right now that is very accessible to humans. Anyone that is willing to really work on your remote viewing abilities, of which everyone has it. It's a literal human ability. It's like breathing, only sometimes people have to tell us, hey, you can do that. So for those of you guys, if you don't know it, start studying remote viewing. It's going to be one of the easiest ways for you to get a little bit of a glimpse of the energies that are working with us. And so I do not know who the Zulu warrior men are. I do not know the name of their race, but I had a lot of experiences with them. And I believe that they're one of the races that is actively assisting myself and other people to bring back the energy of the ancient mystic, the healer, the shamanic being, but not the sort of initiated version, the natural, organic version of that was created through life cycle after life cycle of all kinds of adversity. When one of the experiences I had with these beings was the first time they actually spoke to me. And it's a long story, but I'll try to get through it as quickly as I can. This is going to be so cringe, get ready. I was walking down the street in Los Angeles one day, walking into my house, and I looked down and my neighbor was playing with his dog. And for some reason, the dog looked at me and this little bolt of energy went inside my body and I just started to cry. It was like this beautiful love came into my body and I had to kind of run home. I was like, and I put my head on the bed and it was like someone grabbed my head and and shoved it into the bed, which is a scary thing. And as I opened my eyes, I was coming out of like a tub of water. It was like a tub of water. My face was coming out of it, and there was all these old women around me, and they were like grandmas, and they were singing this like, ne no ma da re yo. They were singing a thing, which I'll show you in a little bit. It's a way to clear the energy body. But shortly thereafter, I emerged from this sort of tank of water, and I appeared in what I believe was a circle. It was like this native drumming circle or something, and there was all these sort of warrior guys like this dancing around. They have a very particular type of dance, and they would move this ball of light in between their hands and like fling it at each other and kind of pass it around. And there was a very little old man sitting in the middle of the circle, very, very old. Every time I talk about him, I can kind of see his face in a weird way. And he was speaking to me, and when he would speak, the words came out of his mouth like smoke, and they were drawing a picture with his voice. They were drawing this sort of image. And he said the only thing that I was able to retain from these beings, and it's the only, I believe, fragment of extraterrestrial language that I have ever heard and that I have ever been given. It has been burned into my consciousness. And so, what did he say to me? Masasayabu asarai. Masasayabu asarai. Masasayabu asarai. I wish I knew what that meant. Seriously. It was a moment that was given to me in this space, and he actually showed me the star where they are. And so what I have come to understand about these beings is that they are one of the races within our sort of astral neighborhood or our multi-galactic, whatever you want to call it, neighborhood, who have never been defeated by what we would call the Draco Alliance or the factions of, negative reptilians, the sort of conquestors or the invaders that they talk about in the Law of One. They're one of the very few races who have never been able to be defeated. And one of the reasons why is not because they're amazing warriors and killers, not because they're able to shut down civilizations and blow up stars, with a little Death Star, nothing like that. They evolved to have the ability to baffle and confuse their enemies on such a level that they have never been found. And so they have reached a state within their vibratory range in which their duty, what do? They find the others that have those abilities, the others that carry that frequency. And so there are many of us on earth right now. It's a very different type of spiritual warrior, a very, very different type. And so these beings do not use any physical technology. What they do is they're actually able to compress their body into what we would call a wormhole, or they're able to create wormholes within portals in the human body. And so one of the things that I've been kind of called to teach about and talk about and kind of demonstrate in our own way are the many portals within the human body. One of those you guys can work with in your own way right now. It is referenced in a number of what we would call conspiratorial texts and other things. A lot of people talk about the left eye. There's all kinds of mysticism around it, for good reasons and bad reasons. But the real reason is because it is one of the most pronounced, open, and usable energy portals on the human body. By focusing on another individual's left eye while you're having a conversation with them, while you're speaking with them in just random moments, you're going to be able to awaken your natural telepathic abilities on a level that right now it's a thing you've experienced, but we haven't always been able to notice when we're sending and receiving. By focusing on the left eye, it allows us to do that in a little bit of a cleaner way, and it's something that you'll develop in your own way as you continue to do it. But I pray that you will, because the reality is for many of us here, by the time we leave this physical lifetime, a lot of us are going to be within a very telepathic range. It's one of the foundational experiences of what happens when we reach fourth density, which is where we are right now. What happens when we're in fourth density? It's the stage of your life cycle in which we begin to understand and experience the mechanics of timelessness, the fact that time is a sentient, living frequency right alongside us, that we have the ability to alter and move. It also heals itself, but it is a substance and an energy that we can work with. And so in fourth density, we begin to understand that time, and for those of us that have left the human body, which is literally everyone here, not everyone does it consciously. I struggle to get out, but it definitely happens. And what we find is that as soon as you leave the human body, time is very, very different. It kind of doesn't really exist, and you can live a 1,000-year cycle in the blink of an eye and come back into your body, and yeah, you'll retain some trauma from it, but it is a real thing. And so in fourth density, we start to understand the concept of timelessness. We start to understand telepathy, and we also start to understand this thing that it's a very, very particular term. It is called the lower octaves of fourth density, in which the human body starts to become aware of the human body that's non-physical. The non-physical version of our body. It's all part of the social memory complex that we are creating. For those of you guys that have not heard of the social memory complex, it's referenced in a very important text known as the law of one, which I highly, highly recommend you guys checking it out. You can go to lawofone.info and read it all for free. And by my understanding and from my experience, it is the true origin of the place where Matthew came from. I can't say that for everyone. I'm only going to speak for myself. But the law of one is really going to help you understand the basis of what's happening right now on this planet, why we come to be here. And not that it's the only truth. There are many of them. But please do check it out. So as we enter this social memory complex. And once again, what is a social memory complex? It's the stage in our human life cycle in which the consciousness of every living being becomes not necessarily one, but we start moving closer to it. And so what happens is we become more connected. Our thoughts begin to be shared. If we hold on to a very polarized or a huge thought and we co-create that together, it becomes reality. And so we're at a stage on Earth, and you guys can think of all the craziness that could ensue, but we are at a stage on Earth in which the human consciousness is becoming so powerful that if you're told to believe in something, and if you really do, it suddenly becomes real. And so if you think about it, what would happen if a whole bunch of, things were told to the humans over the past few years about the nature of illnesses and viruses and the way those work and why they're here and how it is, and if they make you believe it hard enough, guess what'll happen? It becomes real. And so we're at the stage of our journey in which we also get to understand how humans actually manifest. It's a thing we do together as groups, and when we agree on something as reality, it literally becomes that. And so I'm articulating it in a strange way, but how do we begin to develop our abilities to consciously co-create, to alter, to change timelines, to open up those portals in the body that I'm talking about? In my work, and granted, there are many other avenues toward these abilities and elements of knowledge, but for me, it has been through studying several systems in particular. And so the chakras and meridians represent what I believe to be the most active elements of our expanding energetic anatomy, along with the vagus nerve, which for those of you guys that aren't heard of it, the 10th pair of cranial nerves is going to be one of the most powerful connection points within your body to help you understand intuitive signals, to help you understand empathic frequencies, all kinds of things. It can absolutely revolutionize your energy system when you take control over it. But along with the vagus nerve, as well as the one hardly anybody talks about. I don't know why, because I think it's the key to really, really generating your intuitive clarity. When you get a stimulus or you see a person's face and you get a weird feeling and you're like, I don't know, good or bad, right or wrong, or whatever it is. For many of us, the lymphatic system is the sort of testing ground for those frequencies. And if you don't know, the lymphatic system is kind of like your body's sewage treatment system. And so imagine what happens if the aquarium is very, very dirty. Yes, the fish will still be alive in many cases, but you can't really see what's going on in there. And so think of your lymphatic system a bit like that. And so These systems are responsible for a tremendous amount of the multidimensional energy that is activating within each of us. As we continue to expand into the next phase of human consciousness, which is fourth density as we go through this life cycle, and we do very much come out what we might call a fifth density being if you want to start, quantifying, dimensional levels. It is a thing. We always move up in our life cycle. Well, you don't always, but in many cases we will. This life cycle for many of us was specifically kind of entered in by you guys, by a lot of us, so that we could have the most maximum amount of catalysts for growth. The most simplest way of saying that is that we agreed to come in here and deal with a lot of shit. Literally, that's what we're doing. And so by learning how to hack, work with, clear, and just a general understanding of these systems, you're going to be giving yourself a tremendous advantage over the rest of the sleeping masses, over the rest of your friends and family, over those that are still inoculating themselves with the parasitic control structures on Earth. You guys are going to be receiving a very huge upgrade. And so I like to say this, but I think of these kind of like characters in a movie. Like when you look at them, it's sort of, I don't know if you guys remember that 90s cartoon Voltron where they all turned into this robot. There was all these pieces of it. I don't know why. I think of these guys kind of like weird characters, but for those who are interested, please do start learning your chakra system and your meridian system. In addition to the vagus nerve and the lymphatic system, the reason why I'm kind of holding these up here and I'm going to be talking about them a little bit more is that they're joining together in really interesting ways. One of the things that a lot of people are charting and noticing in their own work is that especially the chakra system and the meridian system are starting to join. They're starting to kind of solidify in certain areas. And so one of those is at the crown, and one of those is all the way down at the bottoms of your feet in what we would call the Earth Star Chakra. We also have several others, places in the heart. There's a couple of little kind of points in the back of the head as well. But these are the systems that just by doing weird Google image searches, if you never looked at energetic anatomy before, just by looking them up, you're going to be giving yourself knowledge that you have had in other lives. You're going to be remembering things. It doesn't matter if you don't know what to do with it yet. These are some of the keys that just by bringing them into your world, it's going to be giving you little pieces of yourself. And so that said, I'm going to give you guys this list here. If anyone wants to take a picture of it, please do. I do not know how much time I have, but we're going to skip into the last part of this presentation here, and that is essentially an energy clearing. So the fun thing is, you guys just did tons of meditation, which is awesome, and so this is not going to be too much of a meditative process, but one of the things we use in the education programs, in the energy clearings that I do, is a form of an ancient language, and I have no idea what this language is, but I think it's one that we have used in many different life cycles and many different civilizations. And what I was given during the stage of my life when I was creating class material for these courses that we do is a thing known as capsule phrases. And so a lot of people heard of mantras, which is a very cool thing, very, very legitimate. Capsule phrases are a little bit of a different version of that. In many cases, a capsule phrase is a 3-syllable vibration. Sometimes they're more, and what they are basically calling cards, signatures, communications, door-knocking apparatuses, pieces of technology, all sorts of little things that upon entering the human body create what we might call a multidimensional chemical reaction. And so just by using these, and the cool thing is there's tons of people using them now. It's been amazing. I get a lot of emails from people from Australia, Europe, all the way up in Norway. I mean, literally all over the world. It's one of those things that I never, ever thought was going to happen in my life. But the capsule phrases allow us to open up our energy levels. What's that? Oh, sorry guys, I thought they were giving me the time's up thing. How much time do we have, by the way? Oh, I couldn't see your hand there. Oh, I see a thumbs up. So, okay, cool, thanks. So the capsule phrases these are a form of technology. See, I'm kind of losing myself in that one there. But we're going to demonstrate them for you now. And so we're going to kind of take a little bit of a journey through the energy body. And the fun thing is you guys can do this with your eyes open or with your eyes closed. In many cases, we do start to receive a little bit of a frequency and things start to quiet down. inside our body. But what we're going to do is vibrate, literally vibrate a few areas of your body. Some of you guys are going to feel it a little bit. Some of you guys are going to feel it a lot. Every now and then people start sweating or having tremors in their body. I used to get them really, really bad. So don't worry if you feel a little sweaty or shaky. It's okay. Doesn't mean everybody will. But what we're going to do is go through a journey of the energy body together. And so for those of you guys that have heard of the Earth Star Chakra, it's right down underneath your feet. It's what we would call your timeline plug-in point. And so a lot of you guys have heard of the non-physical Earth grid. For those of you guys that are learning about grid work, there's a literal non-physical grid of energy that our physical bodies connect to. And one of the most important energy centers is underneath your feet. Why do we need the Earth Star Chakra? Because it connects us to our earthly realm. It also helps us change reality. Because one of the things we discover with the chakra system is that as we go along this awakening journey in the human body, some of them start to work differently. They start to flow in different directions, and we begin to be able to consciously control the flow of energy outside of our body. And so one of the ways you can do that is by opening the Earth Star Chakra. And so you guys can all feel the bottoms of your feet. Everybody remembers the bottoms of your feet. We were doing work with it, and Nora was working with it. The guy before that, which was awesome, he was also working with the bottoms of our feet for a minute as well. So you guys are going to be already there. But for those of you guys that can feel the bottoms of your feet, we're going to open up that region of your body. And so I'm going to do it once, and then if you guys want, you can do it with me. Because when you do, it creates a whole different layer of interaction in the body. But I'd like you to feel the bottoms of your feet. And 3, 2, 1. Maruva. And if you'd like, you can do it with me one more time. Ooh, I feel some feet already. Whoa, good job, everybody. Oh, and yes, I can feel it. So we're going to do that again together. Notice the bottoms of your feet, you guys. Take a deep breath in. Maru. Very good. Very, very good. Just notice the bottoms of your feet. We do it in real time. For some of us, it's big. For some of us, it's little. For some of us, it's the first time we've ever tapped into multidimensional energy. So don't worry if you have no idea what it's supposed to feel like right now. Sometimes, as soon as you start to open up multidimensional channels in your body, you'll get memories. You'll get emotions. You'll get thought forms. Just allow what shows up. When our Earth Star Chakra is flowing and pure and open, we are not only receiving the energy from our physical and non-physical realm, we're sending it. We are receiving reality, and we are sending out our understanding of what reality is. And so up above that, we have a very popular place. A lot of people know about it. It's your root chakra. Everybody's heard of the root chakra. All kinds of wild stuff goes in there, everything from early childhood stuff to, abundance issues and stability and grounding in our life. And so a lot of you guys are going to be familiar with this one as I drool on myself, which is inevitable. I will always drool on myself in these talks. So a lot of you guys are going to know that one. Lung, L-A-N-G, lung. We're not going to dwell on that one because a lot of people know it. But right above that, we have a very, very vibratory area within the body. A lot of people know it as the Sacral Chakra. It's the center of passion, creativity, sexuality, the real fire. It's one of several fire centers in your body. And if you're ever looking for any of the other fire centers or the places on your body through which you can really, really deliberately send energy, yes, it's the Sacral Chakra, but there's a couple other really cool places. And when you learn about them, it'll help you transmit energy in ways that is unprecedented, yet very possible. And so that's the pericardium, the sac that surrounds your heart. And so the really cool thing about that is your pericardium connects to the palm of your hand. And if you want to get technical, to the middle finger. No, I'm not flipping you off. It literally goes to the middle finger. And so right here we have a place known as your Lao Gong point. And so just by breathing and allowing the energy to flow from your sacral chakra to your pericardium to the tip of your middle finger, which you're going to experience in a minute, you allow yourself to use more of your natural fire within you. And so you can receive this vibration, and then you guys can do it with me. But tap into that sacral chakra, tap into your heart, whichever one feels better. Or maybe you could just feel the palms of your hands. And let's take a deep breath in. Yavura. We're going to do that one more time. Deep breath in. You can do it with me. If anyone wants, you can just touch your middle fingers together. Just touch them together. Just kind of hold them. And if you want, you can just touch them to your heart. And then right underneath the belly button. Just kind of let it pass. You'll notice that little thing I just did right there. It seems like a silly gesture, but it's really important for you guys to pick it up, because one of the abilities that you have, and a lot of people don't know this, is you already have the ability to physically manipulate non-physical energy. It's literally one of your human abilities, and one of the most useful things you can do as an energetic practitioner or a healer is to create your own gesture of disconnection. What do I mean by a gesture of disconnection? A manner in which you remove energy from the human body. And so I tend to use I do a little pop. I don't know why, because I see energy in the body and I'll kind of pull it out. And in my head, I would hear this thing. And so, like many of us weird humans, I just mimic what I experience in the astral realm. And so come up with your own version of that. We're going to be using it in a few moments here when we get to the Navel Chakra. And so, yes, we have a Mingmen. I really want to talk about that real quickly. There's no specific frequency for it. What is the Mingmen? For those of you guys that haven't heard of it, it's what we would call one of the secondary chakras in the body. You can think of it like an energy valve. It's really important for men, actually. It's important for both women and men, but especially for men over the age of 40. As we know, the male body tends to degrade a little bit differently than the female body after we reach the age of 40. And so for men, the Mingmen is very important. Where's your Mingmen? I want to show you guys where it is. You can take your hands and join them together right over your hips. Grab your hips, you feel the top of your hips, and put your hands together and notice where your fingers touch. Sometimes it's your ring finger, but just notice where that is on your back. For many of us, that point on your spine is called your Mingmen. It's a secondary chakra. What it really is an energy accelerator. It allows you to move energy with great force or to turn it down and use it with less force through the spinal column, through what we would call the central channels through the body. And so just by tapping into that energy center, you guys can take your fingers and turn it like a dial, and you can experience a very, very real result. If you have high blood pressure, it could make it higher, really, really, or it could also make it lower. And so just note that that is one of the most accessible areas on the body. We're going to vibrate it in a second. It works along with the Navel Chakra, which is also one of the places that people really need to start learning about. Why would you care about your Navel Chakra, though, right? Why would you care about it? Well, it's the center for instinct and knowing within your body. It's not the only one, but it's one of the primary ones. And so what do I mean by instinct and knowing? A lot of you guys have seen, like the kung fu masters, and they're able to just, just deflect energy or, whatever it is. They see it coming and they can just move out of the way in this record time, or they know how to respond in a split second in the most appropriate way. So believe it or not, there's an energy center in your body that when you start to work with it, it improves your ability to do that. And so we're going to vibrate that place on your body right now. And the cool thing is when we do that, it tends to open up our ability to breathe a little deeper, because we have a meridian right here known as the beltline meridian, that when it tightens up on our body, we tend to suppress ourselves and we limit our energy, our power. Sometimes we suppress our shadow, but we're going to kind of open that up. It usually allows people to take a bigger like a breath afterward. And so this is the vibration for your Navel Chakra. If you want, you can just touch your fingers to the navel itself. And we'll do it once, then you can do it with me. And so we'll take a deep breath in. Do chi ro. Ooh. For those of you guys that can feel energy, you can tell my Navel Chakra is a little slow on that one. We're gonna do that one again. And so just very gently touch that belly button. Take a deep breath in with me. Do chi ro. Much better. And take that big breath in, and when you let it out, just really let your belly fall out. Let your shoulders kind of fall down. You'll notice your face will sag a little bit as well. It's one of the places that can really pull pressure out of the body. When we feel pressurized and sort of like, and you get that feeling, you kind of pop the belly button. Yeah, it's kind of like a bubble, and all this tension rolls out of the body. And so along with that, yes, we've got the amazing solar plexus. Everyone's heard about it. Very important place for your personal power, but a lot of us in here are very well knowledgeable of the 7 major chakras, so I like to stick with, for today, the ones that for a lot of us are still kind of new. And so to the left of your solar plexus, which is right here, we'll find our spleen. Don't worry if you don't know where your spleen is. I will show you and you will know forevermore. If you can find the sternum, the midline right here, and you can just put about 2, maybe 3 finger widths to the left of that. And you can hook your finger right underneath the edge of your ribs, and that's your spleen. It's right there, and it's very, very powerful in your body. And what's the spleen powerful for, though, on a multidimensional level? Because everybody knows about what your spleen does. You know, it does immunity, it helps cleans the body, builds blood, all kinds of wild stuff. But from a multidimensional perspective, the spleen will change your emotional well-being. Will literally alter your emotional well-being, and not necessarily yours, the energy of the emotions you carry from other people. Which for everyone in here, I don't know about you, we carry a lot of other people's emotions in the course of this human life, and so let's vibrate our spleen, you guys. You can just put your hand right there, right on the left side. We're going to localize the area, don't worry. Some people, the spleen's higher, you guys. Some people, it's a little bit farther to the back. All of your organs are literally packed in this area right here, so there's variance. We're not always touching the spleen directly. But let's improve our emotional well-being. I'll do it once, and you guys can join me. It's Da, Re, O. And honestly, this is one of the ones where people tend to feel an emotion in your body. So if you do feel an emotion, it's a really good thing. Even if it's a paradoxical emotion, like sudden anger, or suddenly you feel really silly, that's going to be how you know your spleen's kicking up, because it holds all kinds of emotion. Also, what's a physical way you'll know your spleen is holding energy? Your mouth will get dry. You'll get a lot of saliva. Suddenly want to swallow a lot. Those are signs of multidimensional energy in the spleen. So we're going to vibrate our spleen. You can just very gently touch it. Take a deep breath in. Da, re, o. There we go. For some of you guys, you'll notice there's a tail to that phrase. You say it, and then it hangs out for a second. We're going to do it one more time. Notice the memories that come into your body. Some of you guys are going to get a memory. You're going to get faces and conversations from the last few days. Tap into that spleen. Here we go. Take a deep breath in. Da, re, o. And when you're ready, simply pull it out. It's just energy you don't need. You can make your own way. Some people snap. I've heard a lot of people do this. They make their own version. Some people feel, there you go. Some people feel, we will do it, and we're like, oh, that's dumb. I shouldn't do that. Yes, you should. Yes, you should. Make it as uniquely you as you possibly can. The more embarrassed and unique and silly you feel, the more childlike you can make it, the better, literally. And so moving up from there, we have a very, very popular place. Everybody knows about it. It's the 4th density energy center that everyone wants to connect with. Just by opening this energy center alone, we start to really open up our ability to telepathically communicate with ourselves, others, beings in a number of places. And yes, we also experience what's known as the Christ consciousness and a myriad of other things. Where's that? That's your heart chakra, which everyone knows about it. It's very, very important. When I do energy clearings, I have a little bit of a different method. I simply say the name of it. Which is cool because when we do that in these meetings like this, you guys will feel literal heat in your chest. And so if you want, you can tap into it real quick. And you literally, how do you tap into it? Press in, feel the warmth, take a deep breath in. Na, ha, ta, ya. Let's grab the back of your heart. I'm going to press my hand right in between your shoulder blades. Yes, you'll feel it. 3, 2, 1. ka, ra, ya, sa, ta, a, la, yang. Very, very good. Thank you, everyone. We're going to keep that ball roll. Ooh, feel it. Yep, some of you guys got the heat. Very, very good. It's okay. For some of us, it's a very new feeling. You'll know because you'll feel a little bit sweaty for a few moments. You'll get a little bit of energy under your arms and a couple other places. And so let's keep rolling, guys. And so we're going to go to another very important place for those of you guys that are learning about your empathic abilities. For those of you guys who, when you were kids, somebody would come home and you wouldn't even need to know who it was. You hear the door open and you just feel it and you're all, you know, everybody had that experience. Or sometimes you'll just walk into a room at school, you know, when we were kids, and you feel the vibe, you feel the energy, you feel the emotions of the people. One of the apparatuses within your body, or the sort of energy centers that allows that interaction to take place, is the Thymic Chakra. And so for those of you guys that don't know about it, this is a very, very effective way to vibrate and open the Thymic Chakra. What happens when we open the Thymic Chakra? Honestly, a ton of things. In fact, the Thymic Chakra for a lot of us is a key to really opening up the energy centers above it. It's kind of one of the gateways in the energy body that really needs to be cleared in order for us to really make use of our empathic abilities. And so I'm going to vibrate that for you. If anyone wants to, you can find that little notch right at the top of your collarbone right there, that little place, and you can kind of put your fingers maybe a couple spaces down, and you can really just imagine in your own way that you were kind of going to reach right in between the tops of your lungs, like you're going to reach right in there. It's almost like you're going to squeeze a little sponge. I know that's a silly thing, but we're going to squeeze that sponge, and we're going to clear your empathic energy center, the Thymic Chakra. So let's take a deep breath in. Yang Karo. Very good. Let's do that one more time. You guys can join me. It is Yang Ka Ro. And you're going to feel it right in the top of your chest. Sometimes it gets cold there, so don't worry if it doesn't get warm. You'll feel like a fluttering. You'll get a little bit of a sensation. Every now and then you'll get an image of like early childhood stuff and like conversations and weird stuff that happened when you were a kid. So let's open up the Thymic Chakra, guys. Take a deep breath in. Yang Karo. There we go. There we go. Good job, everybody. From there, we move upward to the throat. If there's one place that you guys focus on in your own healing journey over the coming months, please let it be your throat chakra. Allow your voice to be heard. Allow yourself to speak. Allow yourself to embarrass yourself and say those things that you've been waiting to say for years. One of the most important things we can do is developing healers, as intuitives, as speakers, as communicators within what we would call this new earth or new realm or whatever you want to call it. One of the most important things we can do is come to the stage in which we are ready and willing to truly express ourselves. And so continue to work with your throat chakra in any way you can, you guys. But for those of you guys that don't know, and it's not here on the screen, there's another capsule phrase I forgot, and that's for the throat itself. It's a very quick one. It's a little dry. You're going to feel it in the back of your throat, but just honor what appears in your mind. It's very similar to the one I just did, but you guys will feel it in your own way. Take a deep breath in. Ooh, yeah, there we are. Focus on the back of your throats, guys. I know this is new for you. Good. There you go. Good job. Take another breath. Hankaro. And when you're ready, take a breath in and cough it out. That's it. It's like a little dry thing happens in the back of your throat. Good job, you guys. We got a couple more. And so above that, we come to one of the most important places in the body. It's one of the chakras that when I do the work that I do, it's one of the things that people come in and they're like, I want to activate my third eye. I must activate my third eye. I'm ready to activate the third eye. I want to experience, what is within the spiritual realm. They want to open up a layer of what we would call spiritual sight or the visual acuity within the internal, visual cortex. And so It's absolutely possible, but one of the things we discover when you actually start working with those energy centers in a dedicated way is that the third eye is one part of an infrastructure that exists in the upper chakras, and it's really only one piece of everything else. And so one of the cool things about the upper chakra capsule phrase, which you can skip a few places down there and you'll see it on the screen, it's Ava Me Om. And so one of the reasons why that works really well is because it vibrates several chakras within the upper energy field. Not only the third eye, but the third eye in the back. And a very important place for channelers. We got a lot of people who are channelers here. And I guarantee you we have a number of you in this room that are going to start your own version of that in the next 2 to 3 years, even especially those of you right now who believe, I would never do that. I'd never do such a thing. It's real. We all have the ability. And so there's an energy center that we can vibrate that will really greatly help you open up your ability to receive and to translate those vibrations that we receive from outside of ourselves. And that is by vibrating the energy body with this phrase right here. And so you guys are going to hear it, and then you're going to receive it. But I want to let you know where it's vibrating. Chakras at the sides of your head, known as the causal chakras. You can think of them like infrastructure for an energetic transmitter. They're going to be working alongside the third eye in the front and the back, and the Bindu chakra, which if you want to imagine, it's kind of like right above your back third eye. A lot of us have a little space in the back of our head. You'll just feel a little divot back there, or a little lump in the back of your head. That's usually where the Bindu chakra is. For some people, it's very low, down near the suboccipital ridge. For other people, it's higher up toward the crown. But by vibrating and working with this energy center alone, this is one of the ones that can actually create a little bit of dissociation in the body. When you really open it, kind of affects the earth star and your root chakra. So it's one of the places that requires maintenance over time. But just by vibrating this energy center alone, you'll start to receive your own version of those vocal transmissions. And so I'm going to do it for you, and then you guys can do it with me. And so for this one, it's good to maybe touch the third eye, either front or back. Sometimes you can do both. Notice the colors that will show up in your visual space. For some of you guys, it's still going to be pitch black. So don't worry if you're, wondering how that works. It's very normal. But for other people, you're going to receive a very particular type of a color spectrum. It's different for everyone. As a person that works with chakras every day, one of the things you find out is that the color spectrum is relative. To one person, your third eye is going to be very green. To another person, it could be, silver. It's a very, very individualized space. And so you guys are going to get the color of your own third eye. Don't worry if you only see it for a second, especially if it's the first time you've done this. But let's tap into that third eye. And we're just going to do a couple silent breaths so the energy rises up. Take a deep breath in. Ava Me. We're going to do that one more time. And at the end of that, we do a very rich and deep Om. So this one's going to go directly into the third eye, you guys. And I'm actually going to send it there for you first. And so yes, you will feel it. I'm going to go from left to right, and I'm just going to very gently touch the forehead. Some of you guys have really crazy third eye energy. And we're going to get the guys in the back of the room. Yes, you can block it if you choose. It's okay. You do not have to receive the third eye. There we go. Very good, everyone. Thank you for being so willing. Take a deep breath in, and you can do it with me. Ava Me. Last part. Okay, so I'm going to be totally real. There's a few people in here with really, really open third eyes, and we're going to do that one more time because you guys need to experience that you really do have an open third eye, which is wild. A lot of energy over here. Okay, so we're going to do that one more time. Trust yourself, guys. Take a deep breath in. Ava Me. Good job. And we're almost at the end, you guys. Where do we go after that? Where do we go after the third eye? Well, we tend to go right up to the very crown itself. And for me, the crown chakra was the entryway into this strange thing that I'm doing. Had some woman at a homeless fair not have opened that thing up for me in 2015, I don't know what I would be doing. But honestly, I believe that was the contract. That was the way it was supposed to go. And so one of the capsule phrases that we use in our program and the work that I do, it's not a capsule phrase at all. It's actually a Sanskrit phrase that really works for literally anyone that uses it. And I mean that very, very sincerely. Anyone that uses this phrase can vibrate and open your crown chakra. And one of the things we find out when we start working with energy centers is that the crown chakra is one of the most pliable, we could say controllable, we could say alterable, yeah, we could also say influenceable energy centers on the body. It's like this opening that's constantly closing and constantly getting bigger and smaller. And so when we learn to take direct control over the diameter of your crown chakra, think of it like a pipeline at the very top of your head, that if it's very closed, it's going to be hard for you to receive what we might call downloads or energy from outside of the energy body. But for those that it's highly open, we can not only receive a lot, we can receive too much, and it can create very interesting and dissociative states in the body. And so we can use this phrase alone. If there's any of these ones on here that you do use, this is one that's really good to pick up. I had nothing to do with it. It's used by many cultures all over the world, but it goes like this. Ogam Satyam A little bit of noisiness at the crown chakra. Some of you guys could tell that instantly. So we're going to do that one more time. And if you like, you can do it with me. It's a little bit longer phrase, and so you can just follow me the best you can. But why would you do this? Why would you continue to work with your crown chakra? Because a lot of you guys are going to come to something that I was saying at the beginning of this journey today, to a stage in your life in the coming months and years ahead where a really huge fundamental change is going to take place within your body, within your mind, within your heart. There's no living being that can tell you what direction or what change that is. You will know it when it comes, and it will fundamentally alter the course of your life as a human. And so by keeping your crown chakra very clear, strong, open, and operable, you can have much greater control over how and when, the discernment through which we receive communication from spirit, all sorts of things. And so we're going to do that one more time together. Once again, you can follow me, but you guys will tune into your crown. It's really fun. This is another one that's like everyone feels the top of the head when we do this. Sometimes it's just a little tickle. Other times you'll feel like you're wearing a hat after this, which is a very cool thing. And so here we go, guys. Let all your breath out. Push it out. There you go. Push it out. Take a deep breath in. Ogam Satyam. For many of us, that's the first time we've ever heard that. We'll do it one last time. This is your crown. Ooh, I feel some crown chakras in the corner over here. Good job, you guys. Let's do it one more time. I know this is new for a lot of people here, so thank you for being so willing and open. This is really fun. So let all your breath out. One more time, everybody. Push it out, push it out, push it out. Take that breath in. Ogam Satyam. There we go. Much better. Thank you for being open. Thank you for being willing. At the very top, it's not really the top, it's just the very edge of where we're going today. But right up above that crown chakra, we have one of the other places that, for a lot of us, this is the one that really gets blocked up through just the dimensional energy, through the control structures. Yes, through the forced medical inoculations we're also receiving as humans. This is one of the energy centers that gets horribly damaged by outside frequencies, interference frequencies, parasitic energies, sometimes elements of our extraterrestrial soul family as well that are trying to get messages through to us can't. One of the reasons is because there's a little antenna right up there above your crown chakra that unless it's turned on or unless it's operable, or sometimes it's just blocked in the body, but that's the soul star, and it helps us get in touch with the energy of our extraterrestrial soul families, our missions here in this body. And also one of the things that is returning to each and every person in this room, and I mean this sincerely, that is the ancient knowledge contained within your body from many, many incarnations, many beings, many realms, many passive knowledge, many schools of initiation, many, many lifetimes. And so by tuning into the soul star, by learning to vibrate it, we allow the body to more effectively receive those very, very high dimensional frequencies. And so this is the last capsule phrase I'm going to be giving you guys today. It's a very, very simple one. It's one that we just kind of say. It's like you'll mutter it in your own way. It's just a little phrase that you'll say. And so we'll do it a couple times. But the fun thing is people tend to experience a little bit of light. So it's a cool thing to close your eyes when you receive this one. Every now and then, it's like you'll get little sparkles within your field of view. And so if you like, you can close your eyes for a quick moment. Very, very good. Just notice what you notice as you take a deep breath in. Vara Muna Ea Vara Muna Ea O. Good. That's a complex one, you guys. That's a new frequency. We're going to do that one more time. You can follow me, or you can just receive it. This is a phrase that helps keep that soul star chakra operable, vibrational, and it causes it to twist. Here we go. Deep breath in. Vara Muna Ea Vara Muna Ea O. There we go. Thanks. Thank you, everyone. These are some of the keys to opening the energy body, to allowing yourself to stay clear and in tune, allowing yourself to make use of the extraterrestrial energy, and also to truly activate your mission, yourself, to heal the body, to heal your emotions, and honestly to really, really just help us stay in the stream of what we chose to become in this life. And so at the close of this presentation, I'd like to say thank you for incarnating at this time in history. I mean that very, very sincerely. Wherever you go next in this world, please remember that if you take anything from this process here today, let it be an understanding that we're truly more than this flesh and blood meat suit. And inside each of us exists the true magic of our infinite selves. It is our choice to receive this knowledge, understanding, ability, and consciousness during this life. And my prayer is that this energy finds each of you in your own unique way. Never forget, you're a multidimensional being who chose to incarnate on Earth. You chose this body, you chose this realm, you chose this life. We chose our mom and dad, we chose every bit of this strange existence, and we chose now. And so thank you for choosing to be here in this room with me alongside my wife as we drive across the country doing all these strange things. It is an honor and something I never saw coming. So for those of you guys that want to find us later, you can book a session, take part in our energy training programs. You can find us at rememberyourmission.com. It is literally the only thing I do in this world, and it is the greatest honor of my life. You can also find us on Patreon every single month at a very special organization called the Blue Flame Collective, in which we go through trainings on a bi-monthly basis, meaning twice a month, or bi-weekly, thank you, which we just help people open up their energy bodies. So find us on Patreon at Remember Your Mission. And finally, the number one place to access all the content that we do for free, because a lot of it's for free, you can just join us on YouTube at the School of Multidimensional Intuition. So I pray that you will subscribe and join us there. We have a new show that's coming on. We're bringing new members from our multidimensional soul group, other practitioners. One of the most important things you can do is pick up other people's frequencies in this life. And so with that, thank you guys for being a part of my strange movie in this life. I never saw it coming, and it's a real honor. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you.